Here we are with the rarely used tourney for the spring split of the Flygon Championship Series. In this tournament, it's going to be Swiss style. There's only one RU tournament during the PCS, so all RU tournaments will be Swiss unless I change my mind next year, and then it'll be double elimination. But anyways, I'm here with Legiro, my good
Yo,
man and lead caster. Uh, I am the CEO of the Flygon Battling Organization. I'm a tourney organizer and streamer, editor of Delta articles. I've never won a Flygon tournament, but I have made Top Cut once, so that was exciting. And then I kind of retired to just organizing tournaments. Speaking of retiring, I'm here with Lechiro. Like I said before, he was the first ever tournament winner. The pressure built up on him, so he decided to retire and start casting these with us. I don't know why it says CEO
I
of
see.
Flygon Battling Org. That must have been Lechiro who did that.
I didn't touch it at all. That's all you, buddy.
And he's the assistant author of the Delta articles. I don't know why that says that, but that is a typo. But anyways, continuing on, general rules to best of one Swiss. Play one game against four different opponents. Match against your opponents based on your results. If you don't not familiar with Swiss, just look it up on Wikipedia. Explain it pretty well. Six-player top cut to after the best of one Swiss stage. The top six players move on to a top cut. During every game, adaptive play is in effect. You can switch up your moves and items on your Pokemon between matches, but you cannot change your Pokemon. Remember that the tournament is open book, so feel free to use any resources necessary. For disconnects, if you disconnect in the middle of the game, you can restart it if it's before turn 6. Otherwise, it is a loss. I do need video or picture evidence that you did disconnect. And don't cheat. Cheating might result in a future ban or Flygon Championship Series points loss. CEO of the Flygon Battling Organization, Moose Cadet says. Anyways, match rules. Once you get in a match against your opponent, do not start the match until the casters give you the clear to go, unless you are not on stream. So this only applies while you're on stream. While you're in a match, do not listen or watch the stream. Doing so will result in a ban or PCS point loss in both the current tournament and possibly future tournaments. Beware of the timer. If you time out, you lose. Exceptions can be made, but are situational. For example, I don't know, family emergency and whatnot. If you're in a tourney match, you must forfeit all other matches you're currently playing. If you do not show up for your match, you will forfeit that match. We are not waiting for you. Um, I mentioned the Flygon Championship Series. So, what is that? It's a series of 14 individual tournaments hosted by me all year round. This is the second tournament of the year. Each season of PCS lasts for exactly 1 year, starting on February 1st and ending on the same date. During each tournament, entrants receive PCS points for participating. Those who reach top cut and/or win the tournament will receive a significantly higher amount of PCS points. Those who drop out midway through a tournament will lose PCS points. Again, you can also cheat and lose PCS points, as I mentioned before. Each tournament is worth a different amount of points, so the bigger the tournament, the more PCS points you can earn by participating. At the end of the season, those with the most points will win cool prizes and awards that you can find on the website. You can spend your points on prizes, which is also on the website. There's some really cool prizes. So you can get Pokemon, you can get a custom art written by one of our members. You can get a custom or a highlight video of your PCS performance if you do certain well. And if you are the winner, you get a Flygon Championship Series sweater with your name on the back and it says winner on the front. You can also, yeah, okay. For the full description, type network into chat and goes to the turning tab and hit info. So Legiro hit the network in chat for us already, so we should be good with that. Moving on, Flygon Championship Series current standings. Currently, the leader is Jin Axel with 20 points. We've only had one tournament, so this is basically the layout of the last tournament and the last Battle Arcade. Mitten with second, going down. Clam and Ryan we're tied for the fifth sixth slot, so I just kind of arbitrarily define that. Usually, the Elite Four is a different tiering, but they were tied, so I kind of like was showed that in the photo. Uh, for the representation, we have one champion and three of the Elite Four members here. A lot of the gym leaders and the other players could not make this tournament, so we have a lot of opportunity if this is your first tournament to catch up to the pack. So let's get into the analysis of everyone's team. Why don't you start it off, um, my man Legiro with Jin?
All right. So we have Jin here, and Jin, at least for me, is probably our most experienced player in the tournament, as far as we've seen and as far as he's played. And to top it off, he's also a lower tiers player, so I can only assume that this he's in his comfort zone here. Not to say that the others aren't, but I think he is more so than others. So I expect to see an absolutely wonderful performance from him. And his team definitely shows that he knows what he's doing. Uh, he's got a Fletchender, which is a threat all around. It's the budget Talonflame. We know how much of a threat Talonflame is in OU. Fletchender just does the same thing in RU. He's got a Virizion, which I kind of like seeing. There's actually not too many Virizions. I was hoping to see more, but alas, there isn't. But I do expect. Usually they run Calm Mind, but we're gonna see how that works. Drapion's a good toxic spike setter, but it also does really well with like some sub SD stuff. Lots of shenanigans. Clawwitzer's cool. I love Clawwitzer. It's got a nice mega launcher ability, so it can have those water pulses, those dark pulses, those aura spheres, etc. Um, Rounding off the team, he's got Uxie, which is cool story, awesome Pokemon. Usually good rock setter and just overall good pivot. Um, and for his defensive wall or special defensive wall, he's probably going to have Flygon. So this looks to be more of an hyper offensive team with some possible tanks of Virizion and Flygon. Yeah,
So
that's it for
moving
that one.
moving on, Mitten, the runner-up for the last tournament, didn't do so well against Jin, but did extremely well against the rest of the field, including veteran player Nikula Togakis. Really like his team, bulky, balanced team, um, or extremely balanced team. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. I am really impressed with the Meloetta choice here. I think Meloetta is going to be able to do a lot of work, especially in RU. I mean, if you ever faced it in a higher tier, you go, wow, this thing hits hard. Why doesn't anyone use it? Doesn't have the best defensive typing, and that's probably why, but there's less Pokemon that can hit it in this tier, and it definitely hits extremely hard. I'd be aware of that. Again, Tyrantrum is another Pokemon that has a very high attack stat and access to a non recoiling head smash. Just strap Choice Band or give it Dragon Dance can do lots of damage. I would be aware of those two Pokemon. Um, on the other hand, for defensive core, he's got an Alomola and a Diancie. Um, both of those Pokemon are very good, especially Alomola. But if he loses Alomola, he does lose some access to some defensive synergy here. Um, so if Alomola goes down to maybe a grass or electric type Pokemon, he's gonna have a hard time taking hits. Mega Abomasnow is a little weak to hazards, but the rest of the team is not. Don't think Hitmonlee is the best spinner in the entire world, so we'll see if that matters because Hitmonlee is not going to be able to spin on many Pokemon. Uh, his team is also a little slow. His fastest Pokemon is the Meloetta. So we'll see how that goes. So going on to the next team, Quantum Jump. Take it away.
Yeah, Quantum Jumper's got. Actually, I really like Quantum Jumper's team. He's got Xploud, and anyone who knows me knows how much I love Xploud. It's got that stab boom burst, which I just love. He's got the Fletch. He's got excuse me. He's got Electros, which is gonna be his. Again, I'm guessing it's going to be his coverage. Electros. That's usually what they do. Um, this actually looks to be kind of like a half bulky, half offensive team. Electros, Xbloud, and Bludgeoner are probably going to be the offensives, and Togetic, Steelix, and Jellicent will be the defensives, in case that wasn't obvious already. He could run an offensive core, but it's not going to benefit him too much other than this just the standard. He really has to play to his power points because it looks like his team is very hard hitting, with the exception of Togetic. So he's just got to watch out for that. Overall, his team's really bulky though, and I definitely see it putting in a lot of work in this tourney.
Nikola
Yeah.
Togakis, again, a veteran player, done very well in lots of tournaments. Definitely made top cut. Well, I would say more tournaments than not. Uh, like his team. Um, I think he's got a bulky balanced team, and I think Scrafty is really scary. I was surprised more people didn't take Scrafty. Scrafty plus Dragon Dance wins games. It wins games in OU, it wins games in UU, it definitely wins games in RU. Be aware of that. The team is fairly weak to the Ice Bug and Fighting, but not a lot of Pokemon get all three of those moves, so I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. He's also got a pretty defensive core here with the Rotom-Mow and the um, Slow King. Fastest Pokemon is that Flygon, so gonna be a little slow. Also the Mega Glalie, but overall I think he has a good chance to do pretty well with this team. He's definitely extremely consistent. I would be surprised if he doesn't make Top Cut.
Yeah, his team's pretty solid.
Now, Joyce Rogers or Kofagrigas posted in Facebook claiming that you're clamoring about his team. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
I yeah, so for those of you who know, I am an avid supporter of anti-stall, and Coffee, who's a good friend of mine, decided that he needs to make my life absolutely miserable and run stall. So that's pretty much what he's doing here. He's running pretty much five bulkies and Hitmontop, which I guess is somewhat bulky, not really. Uh, he's actually got a really nice stall core in the form of Audino plus Kofagrigus plus Wheezing. So that's gonna be very annoying to deal with for the most part. Uh, Honestly, Mega Audino is going to be a huge problem, I think, just to kill. The thing has a crappy ability, but otherwise is just really bulky all around. It gets Heal Bell, it gets Wish, it gets all sorts of healing shenanigans, which is going to be really nice for his team, especially since uh, stuff like Regirock and stuff like Hitmontop are probably not going to appreciate getting burned or status of any sort. So that's gonna be nice. He does have a little bit of an issue dealing with toxic spikes since he can't really get rid of them other than spinning with Hitmontop. And they can wear his team down, which might be a little bit of an issue. So that being said, his team is kind of solid and it's going to be hard to kill. Um, Most definitely. So if he really needs to play to his advantage and not like sack Pokemon that he doesn't needlessly need to sack, because every single Pokemon on his team are going to be necessary. Mega Audino is pretty much he has to play to Regenerator to the best of his ability before he Mega evolves the Mega Audino in order to really uh, secure his ability to kind of get the bulk off.
Anyways, going on with the next team, we got Profrog, another veteran with this extremely hyper offensive team. Average speed of his team is, if we're talking base stats here, 92.61. Most of these Pokemon are extremely quick. Um, the only thing that's carrying that down is that Bronzong, and that's my major concern with this team is he has very little switch-ins. Bronzong and uh, Blastoise are good defensive mons on a defensive team, but are his only switch-ins to a lot of Pokemon. So if you're able to exploit his weaknesses, he would not do very well. Unfortunately for his opponents, though, he's going to be able to hit you first, and he's going to be able to hit you hard. So if you can't live a couple hits and you can't return an Oko, I would be extremely worried playing against Profrog. Heard from an anonymous source that Profrog doesn't feel too confident about his team, but I honestly think he's looking a little down. This team could do a lot of work. RU has become much more offensive in the last couple of months, and Higi would be able to jump on top of that. Would you like to talk about Jamrock's team a little bit, Legiro?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to rip on his team. I'm just kidding. Uh, he's got Jamrock's actually got a nice team. He's sporting the Miltank, which even though it's NU, is probably one of the most annoying mons to have to deal with. It's pretty much I would say the lower tiers Chansey. It takes hits for days. It is on the defensive side, on the special defensive side. I should probably mention that. But it T waves, it milk drinks, it heal bells. It body slams. It's annoying and it doesn't die. Um, but I expect that to be put in a lot of work, and it's fast. That's something that Chansey doesn't have. Is this? It has quite a bit of speed over its OU counterpart, if I want to if you want to call it that. He actually does have a really nice regenerator core in Tangrowth plus Slowking. Excuse me. He's got the Electros. And Sharpedo is going to be kind of cool to have. One thing that I forgot to mention with Jin's team that I kind of want to mention here is that there's no Mega. And we know that in the OU, and I guess even in the UU tier, the meta is very centralized around the idea that you need a Mega to really excel. And I feel like as we get in the RU, NU, PU tier, that's really not necessary anymore, especially since PU doesn't really have any Megas. But you you don't at this point megas aren't a absolute necessity to win games in the RU tier even at high levels. Do they help? Possibly, but it's not at the same level of I need one to do well in in gameplay, which is really nice, I think, in RU, and probably one of the reasons why I appreciate RU so much. Not that I dislike megas, but I just find that it's a whole different ball game, and it's not so much that oh I don't have a mega I lose kind of
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, because there's only 5 megas to choose from, and if those megas don't fit your team, then there's no reason to force it onto your team. That's something that I was having a little trouble with. It's like I need a mega, but there are no megas. So what am I supposed to do? Like I only have the 4 options, and even though Steelix, you got some fine mons in Abomasnow and Steelix and Galele and Arduino. I'm missing one, Camprupt. I don't think Camprupt's all that
Manette,
great, but um,
camera.
you're dying, bro. I don't know what happened to you, but anyways, if those don't fit your team, there's no reason to force it, which leads us to the next team. We got a Mega Glalie, Bakuzan, or Bakuzan, or Baku Forzan, or Snow Day Bakuzan, or whatever name he chooses.
Stop changing your name, goddammit.
Uh, has a very interesting team, a very offensive team. Not quite as offensive as pros, but he can struck teams in rain. He's got the little Amistar and Samurott, so if he can get that up, I don't know if he's planning on it. Not quite sure what to expect from this team. Box usually got some weird strategy up his alley, like uh, so maybe we can see a Hex on this Rotom normal here. But other than that, don't know how it's gonna take lots of hits. A lot of his mons aren't that bulky. I mean, Flygon and Rotom are his bulkiest Pokemon, and neither of those Pokemon are particularly bulky, especially when Rotom is not in its Rotom A form. So let's see what goes on. No Swirlix, very weird. Uh, XY Zard also got a good team. Lechuro's going to talk about that.
All right, we got our second regenerator core, maybe possibly, no, I think maybe third, whatever. We got another regenerator core going on here for
It's
XY's team.
extremely common in RU when you got 3 really good Regenerator Mons. Or 4
Yeah,
good Regenerator Mons if you conclude Alamo. But continue.
yeah. Alamo shithead. Anyway, uh, Amoonguss is always going to be annoying. It's annoying in OU, so you know it's going to be kind of an issue to deal with in RU. We have, of course, Flygon's favorite Pokemon, Manectric. Of course, not going to be Mega because, that's a little bit too higher tier.
No, my
You're going to have a
favorite
lot of Volt
Pokemon's
Switches then.
Evolate Wooper, but that's okay. Manectric is one of the
All
top
right,
five.
well, whatever. I don't claim to be good at this game. I just claim to be concentrating. Um, we have the only Durant in the entire tournament, which I'm kind of sad about because I happen to very much like Durant. It does only have one real viable set with a couple different move changes here and there, but I still quite like it. It's a very fast mon, and after a home clause, it has team sweeping potential, which is kind of nice. It does die to like a flame charge from anything, but that's all right. We still love you anyway, Durant. You make dunks like Kevin. Of course, we have Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee can be run in many ways. Gimmicky sets include normal gem fake out shenanigans, which are never fun to deal with. But hopefully, maybe he'll run something more interesting. But uh, if you really want to win, I guess that's the one to go with. Choice Scarf is another option if he wants to. Anyway, rounding off the team, he's got Mega Glalie, which you can't complain about, just as long as it doesn't explode. Then you have a lot of things to complain about. But um, yeah, so very strong regenerator core. I love the Durant, and him only is gonna put in work, even if it ends up being a spinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll move on to not even close, baby.
And if you like Stall, like Quantum Jumper, this is the team to like. This team is extremely bulky. And it's just gonna be really hard to kill. I don't. It's not that offensive, but when you have access to regeneration, all of your Pokemon have, some sort of recovering move, except for your Steel type Pokemon, who happen to be extremely annoying to kill. Uh, what are you gonna do? I mean, no Mega, but not necessarily necessary. Just just really slow games here. So if not even close, baby starts doing well, we might have a longer tournament. But he's got an extremely good core, and we'll see what happens. Um, anyways,
Yes, you may think this team isn't very offensive, but I actually it's very offensive to me. You know, it's all teams are offensive in some
thanks,
ways.
thanks, freak. Now can you talk about Alex's team?
Okay, I'm so sorry. Uh, so we have an actually different looking team other than the hit only Tangrowth that we've been seeing. We got Mega Banette, which I think we've only seen once so far. Prankster's gonna be annoying. Aerodactyl's cool. I like seeing Aerodactyl. And he's got, of course, he's probably got Blastoise for a spinner, so he can use Hitmonlee for things other than spinning. Um, and Delphox honestly just packs a huge punch. Delphox is a crappy Pokemon in general, but in the RU tier, it actually is a very strong one. So I expect to put in a lot of work. I actually kind of like this Firegrass core that he's got going on. It's definitely a more offensive team. He's his bulkier mons include kind of Blastoise and of course Tangrowth, but for the most part, it's going to be a hyper offensive team. Maybe more on the balance side now that I look at it, but it's pretty solid.
And it's one of the
Uh,
few Mega
those teams are
Banets.
weird, huh?
It's one of the few Mega Banets, and I think Banet's really strong. I mean, with Prankster
Yeah,
and 165 base attack, I mean, it's the opposite of Stall, man. You should like it.
yeah. Um, Yeah, it's but yeah, with Prankster it's gonna be very very hard to deal with if you're a stall person. That's I think that's what he was kind of trying to go for is a stall break kind of team.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Uh,
To
yeah,
men to
honestly, like in my opinion, Mega Banette's not my favorite Mega of the tier, but it does kind of put in work. So we'll see how it goes, won't we?
Yeah. Speaking of not even close babies team, if you're looking ways to break it, it's extremely weak to dark, ghost, and ground. So that's something that I noticed while I
Also,
was doing analysis of it.
it might be a good idea to run some fast taunters if you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean. I'm going to talk about young Pally next. He's got an extremely balanced team, has the best spinner in the tier and Hitmon on top. Really like it. Extremely bulky or semi-bulky or whatever way you want to run it. Ambiapom, extremely interesting Pokemon. I can never tell if it's bad or good in whatever tier that is played. We'll see how it does in the tournament.
It could be
Another
strong.
Togetic. Uh, I like it. It's a good Pokemon. Especially on a team that's not extremely stally, especially with the Flagon, Venusaur, Absol, Ambient So I like it. It's got some good balance. It's got some good switch ins. Uh, it's gonna have a hard time dealing with the bulkier teams because none of the Pokemon hit like extremely hard, but it should do really well against the offensive team. So we'll see how Young does. Continuing on to Night Sonic, a junior trainer. What do you think, Letro?
All right. Well, we got another Banette. That was fast. We got another Flygon. I don't know whether or not this is supposed to be paying homage to you or making you look bad because Flygon's gonna be dying quite a few times in this tourney. Um, we'll let you take offense to that as you will. Uh, got a Typhlosion, which I'm digging. I happen to Typhlosion was the first ever starter I ever used when I played Pokemon or Cyndaquil. Um, so I am digging the Typhlosion. Unfortunately, Typhlosions kind of only have two decent sets, and that's Scarf and Specs. Other than that, they kind of lack the power or speed, um, which is an unfortunate downfall for Typhlosion. But still, a fun Pokemon to have. We're running Venusaur because Venusaur is cool, and because we still like to pretend we're an OU even though we're not. Uh, Aggron, I actually really like Aggron. I love Mega Aggron when it was in the UU tier, or it still is in the UU tier. But regular Aggron's cool too. Just please run sturdy, guys. I happened to witness a fight in which someone wasn't running sturdy, and let's just say I didn't want to see it happen any farther than that. So, yeah. Other than that, this team looks like a pretty decent balance. With walls being Aggron and Venusaur, or Aggron and Flygon being the walls, and the rest of the team being relatively offensive. Moving on.
Moving on, MLP Poop subbing in for Clam 1000 because he was feeling pretty sick, so he's taking over Clam 1000's team. Really like the team. It's got some really good synergy. He's got another regenerator core. I like the Electros on this team. It's got no weaknesses. We saw what it did in PWL for Psy. Mega Steelix is my favorite Mega in the tier. Extremely strong. It's just slow. And this whole team is slow. Like, slow. Slow. Like 30 base, 50 base, 30 base, think this is like 15 base, 50 base, and then 80 base. So he's going to be hidden last. That's my main concern, but the team is extremely bulky. But he's does got some, some balanced Pokemon. So I would say it's like a bulky, balanced kind of team. We'll see how it does. Clam 110,000 really likes it. MLP Poop decided to take it over, so I think it's strong. I think he can go somewhere with it. Super Mew.
I think great Trick Room team.
That is true, and he's got access to Trick Room. So that is not something I even really thought about, and he does have it. So that might be something we will be seeing. Continue on to Super Mew. We got
Yeah.
two more people left.
Yeah. So this team again, another very bulky team with Venusaur, Registeel, and Gastrodon. Only Gastrodon of the tournament, which I was really surprised because Gastrodon is just such a monster. Curse Gastrodon, specially defensive Scald Gastrodon. Both of those are relatively really hard to kill. Of course, Grass help and Virizions help as well. But for the most part, they're just so hard to kill and just so bulky. So I definitely we're gonna see a long towards the longer games for youngster Super Mew here. He's got a Smurgle, which is again the only other Smurgle of the tournament. So Smurgle, as we know, really only excels at being set up or that random endeavor set, which works better in higher
No,
tiers.
no, no.
But alas, we may
You,
see a Typhoon was maybe his life orb kind of deal.
Alex, you kind of died. All right. Anyways, if you didn't hear Alex, because Alex mic kind of cut out, uh, we have the Typhlosion and a Smeargle. Smeargle does pretty well in this tier, but you can't baton pass the different move. Cincinnati is extremely strong. Registeel, as we are talking before, gives no shits. Gastro is probably my least favorite Pokemon to play against ever. It's so bulky and it can totally wreck you if you have no answers for it. And we have the Venusaur that is pretty good in this tier. Mike dropped. Legirose going to come back hopefully. Last team, T Richmond, the other new blood youngster tournament in the tournament. Really think that Granbull and Claudsir can do a lot of work. There's only two Claudsir, only Granbull. Also got a Drudgington, which is extremely bulky, a lot better than I ever gave it credit for when I played against it in the RU. Aggron again, please sturdy or else lose. Um, we also got the Rotom-Mow. And Rotom-Mow is one of those Pokemon that can just do lots of damage with Leaf Storm or Volt Switch out or Will-O-Wisp. So we'll see how it does in the turn.
HPI.
And HP Ice. It's got a good special. It's got a good special defense. It's got a good defense. It's got Will-O-Wisp. Can do some work. Interwebs, please. I also agree with that statement. Legiro, is your mic okay enough to do your picks?
I think so. I hope so. I I will be more than happy to blame people for it, Bakusan. All right. So we're gonna see how far this goes. I apologize if my mic drops again. Uh, so thanks, Jin. Appreciate it. Anyway, I have a few. My picks are, of course, Jin being my first pick, for the main reason of because, as I said before, this is his tier, and so I believe he's going to have quite a bit of work being done with his team. So I'm expecting great things from this man. I hope for the best. NT, I actually kind of helped NT build his team a bit. Don't tell anyone. He did end up doing most of the work, but I kind of gave him a few suggestions. So I do like his team, and he has been showing quite a lot of promise in the RU tier. So I do think um, if I had to predict it, he would come in the second spot. Uh, Following, I think Profrog would come in. He's got a really solid team. He didn't play super duper well last tournament, but I do expect a change this tournament uh, and whatnot. Of course, following him, Coffee Grigas. Even though I mentioned before, I absolutely hate his team. I do think his team is pretty solid, and I'm going to put him in my fourth slot, followed by, of course, XY Zard, and of course, we can't forget my man Mitten, who did so well last tournament. I am expecting to see great things from him as well as we kind of get the tournament going along.
I also have Jin Axel to win, so AKA pressure's on for Jin first place. uh, I think Jamrock's team's extremely good, and I think he will be able to go far on Top Cut if he can stay. Cough, cough. Speaking of Cough, I really like Cough Rodriguez's team. I think he should do well. I don't think Cough thinks he's going to do well, but I definitely like the team. Rounding out Top Cut, I think Pro Frog's hyper offensive team will do better than he expects and land that 6th seed with Nikola Togakis. Didn't like his team all that much, but he's so proven. So he always makes it. So he's got to be the 5 seed. And Mitten's team, which I liked extremely, think he makes Top Cut as a wild card and loses to Shamrock. So that is the last slide of the presentation. We will be going and starting the matches. If you want to see that, here they are.